Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out Absolute Power Task Force 7 Issue 1 by Leah Williams and Caitlin Yarsky. Amanda Waller has taken over the world and defeated many of Earth's heroes, but a small group are still out there and need to be dealt with, which is where Task Force 7 comes in. The Amazos created by Failsafe in the image of each of the Justice League members, complete with their own powers. In this first issue, Waller sends out Last Son, the Superman family Amazo, to deal with the Shazam family, claiming that they are the strongest ones still out there, and even partially depowered, they are still much of a threat to her. Last Son isn't going alone though, as Waller pairs him with Parasite, who acts as a bloodhound to the family to sniff out their power and put the Amazo on their trail. Writer Leah Williams, who's been part of the Superman family of books for a while now with her wonderful little Power Girl series, drops into the event pretty seamlessly and sets things up for her one-shot really quickly, and really sets up the entire 7-issue series, since we now get a sense of where each issue is going to go, with a specific member of this Amazo Justice League sent out to deal with a specific set of heroes. In this case, Last Son and Parasite are sent to the Rock of Eternity to deal with the Shazam family. We also get some time with Last Son. It's not a lot, but we do get something, and we find out that he is a little bit more than just a killer robot. We find out that along with taking Superman's personality, he seems to have also adopted a sort of warped view of Superman's mission for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. There's a great sequence where Parasite leads him to the Rock, and he's seemingly grateful and wishes to help the villain and ease his pain by killing him, more or less. And I like that that's sort of like the warped sense of morality this character has, where he thinks he's doing good because he's ridding the world with a villain and saving it and actually preventing something bad from happening, but that's really not the case at all. Elsewhere in the Rock of Eternity, Dino Accountant discovers Mary and Billy snooping around the Hall of Souvenirs, looking for something to help battle Waller and her soldiers. The kids end up causing quite a bit of a mess and angering the dinosaur, who is all about order and all about keeping track of where everything is, which is why he's sort of in command of this hall. He's cataloging everything, and these kids have just kind of come in and, like a bull in a china shop, ruined everything. Caitlin Yarsky's artwork is fantastic throughout the issue, and it's clean and well structured and isn't too busy, and does Dan Mora's Last Son design a lot of justice. I also really think it's quite neat that both the writer and artist of this book are women, and I find that something that seldom happens. Usually you get one or the other, never both writer and artist, unless it's one person doing both roles. So I think that's really great that we got two of DC's best female writers and artists together to do the same book, and even if it's just a one-shot, since each issue is going to be done by a different writer and artist team. Billy and Mary, meanwhile, are in quite a predicament, since they can't activate their powers without the Amazos being alerted to their presence, and with what little power they have, thanks to being partially drained when Wonder Woman fought Paradise Lost, and Waller cutting magical users off from their sources, they don't really have much choice in what they can do, hence why they want to take some of the artifacts Dino Accountant is looking after. But the dinosaur isn't really much help either, wanting them to fill out OSHA paperwork and forms in order to check out the magical artifacts. His questioning allows Last Son to catch up with the kids, but before the villain attacks them, he decides to kill Parasite, again in some warped perception that he's fulfilling Superman's values and mission. But before he can deal with them, Black Adam appears and attacks the villain. Across the fight, we begin to see Last Son come undone mentally as he begins experiencing glitches in his system, causing him to speak nonsensically and question why he hurts on the inside, and we get a pretty cool reasoning behind it, and that is that Adam explains that the more power he siphons off from people, in this case the Superman family, the more he gets their conscience, which is, of course, in the Superman family's regard, something that's very noble and doesn't want to cause harm to anyone, which in turn begins causing the robot to question what he is doing. Thanks to Adam's gloating though, the Last Son is able to take his powers, planning on killing the man, but Billy and Mary decide that they need to help their arch nemesis despite not having their powers. But the kids are also caught by Last Son, and along with Adam are transported to Waller's prison on Gomorrah. The final pages of the book pick up with Steve Trevor as he comes to Gomorrah on behest of Waller, and this feels like a continuation of the stuff that Tom King was doing in his Wonder Woman ongoing, as Steve finds himself caught between a rock and a hard place again, trying to find out what the hell Waller's real endgame is, but to do so, he's got to go and work for Sarge Steele. man he was fighting against in those early Tom King Wonder Woman issues. Thanks to this, which feels like a big setup to the rest of the book where Sarge Steele and Trevor are probably going to be working in tandem with these other Amazo teams, it feels like this entire issue was just set up for this series of tie-ins, these 7 tie-ins. And that kind of worked against it because so much of the book was set up, and then we had that sort of middle part where the Shazam family really didn't put up much of a fight at all. I get that they were underpowered and everything, but they didn't really do much, and I guess that was kind of the point. Like, you want to kind of show the futility of all of this, but I would have assumed Black Adam could have probably given the character a run for his money, but Black Adam really didn't do much at all besides gloat over the villain and get his powers taken. I do hope the future issues get a little bit more meat now that the setup is over, since while The Last Son got a few great moments throughout the issue, it felt like he was barely in the issue and wasn't really like the star of the issue as it was sort of led to believe. Absolute Power's first big tie-in expanded on Waller's plans for the superhero community just enough to keep things moving. I like the idea that each of the new Amazos is getting an issue and we get to explore their character, and they actually have a character this time around. They're not just a cool design that gets put into cool fights with familiar heroes every issue. However, I do hope in the next couple of issues we get more page time with said Amazos, since The Last Son kind of got a little bit shafted here and we really didn't get much with him, but what we did get was great, and I just wish we got to see a bit more of it. I'm going to give this issue a 7 out of 10.